All right, today we're jumping into one of the most intense, really dramatic stories in the entire Hebrew Bible, the first 5 chapters of the book of Jeremiah. And let me tell you, this is a story that is absolutely packed. We're talking about a divine calling, a whole nation teetering on the edge of disaster, and a message that, you'll see, still rings true today.
So the way we're going to break this down is kind of like a 5-act play. First up, we'll see Jeremiah get this calling he really doesn't want. Then it's like we're in a courtroom, watching God lay out the case against the entire nation. After that, there's this surprising twist, an offer of mercy. But right on its heels, we get a terrifying vision of what happens if they say, no thanks. And to wrap it all up, we'll take a walk through a city that has just completely lost its moral compass.
Okay, so let's start with chapter 1. Our story kicks off with this single moment that just completely shatters a young man's life. I mean, one minute he's just Jeremiah, the next he's handed this divine mission that seems totally impossible. And his reaction? Oh, it's so human, so relatable.
Now, to really get a handle on Jeremiah's story, you've got to understand the world he was dropped into. We're talking late 7th century BCE, in the kingdom of Judah. And politically, it is an absolute mess. The old superpower, Assyria, is falling apart, the new one, Babylon, is on the rise, and Judah is stuck right in the middle. And on the spiritual side, well, even with a good king like Josiah trying to make reforms, the people are just deeply into idol worship. This is the super volatile world that Jeremiah is told he has to speak into.
And God's first words to him, wow, this isn't like a job application, it's a straight-up declaration of destiny. God basically tells Jeremiah, look, I knew you before you were even a thought. I set you apart. This mission was your purpose before you even existed. This idea of divine foreknowledge is so key here. This isn't some last-minute plan. It's Jeremiah's entire reason for being.
And this is where we see the real tension, right? Jeremiah's first reaction is pure, honest fear. He says, whoa, hold on, I can't speak, I'm just a kid. But God doesn't even entertain the argument. He just commands and comforts. He says, don't say you're a child, and follows it up with this incredible promise, don't be afraid, I am with you. It's just this powerful clash of human weakness and divine strength, all in one exchange.
So then, to really seal the deal, God gives Jeremiah 2 visions. The first one is a branch from an almond tree. Now this is pretty cool because in Hebrew, the word for almond tree sounds a lot like the word for watching, so it's basically a divine pun, right? It's a visual way of saying, I am watching over my word to make sure it happens. God is alert, ready to go.
But the second vision, well, it's a lot darker. It's this seething, boiling pot, and it's tilted, pointing down from the north, about to spill all over Judah. The message here is impossible to miss. A boiling hot disaster is coming, an invasion from a northern power, which we now know was Babylon. So you have the comfort of that first vision, immediately wiped out by the terror of this one.
All right, so if chapter 1 was Jeremiah getting his marching orders, chapter 2 is where the scene totally shifts. Now it feels like we're in a cosmic courtroom. This is the indictment. God, speaking through Jeremiah, is about to lay out the official charges against his people. And the prosecution's entire case really hinges on this one incredibly powerful verse that levels 2 main charges. Charge number 1, they've forsaken God, the actual fountain of living waters. Charge number 2, they've tried to replace him with their own homemade solutions, these broken, useless containers. It's not just an accusation of betrayal, it's an accusation of being completely foolish. And think about that metaphor for a second. It's so powerful. On one hand, you have this endless, life-giving spring. On the other, you have these things you built yourself that are cracked and can't even hold water. Back then, for Judah, these were their idols and their shaky political alliances. But it really makes you think, doesn't it? What are our broken cisterns today? The things we chase, thinking they'll satisfy us when they're just fundamentally flawed. And the chapter just keeps hammering this point home, using the language of marriage and betrayal. See, the relationship between God and Israel was supposed to be like a marriage covenant. So their idol worship wasn't just some policy error, it was spiritual adultery. It was a deeply personal betrayal, chasing after other gods under every green tree, which was code for all those pagan shrines.
Okay, so after an indictment that harsh, you're pretty much expecting the judge to deliver the sentence, right? But then chapter 3 comes along, and wow, it's a total plot twist. Just when you think it's all over, God steps in with this incredible, out-of-the-blue offer of mercy.
Then God makes this really shocking comparison. He points to the northern kingdom Israel, who, by the way, had already been wiped out for this exact same stuff,
And he says that their sin was actually less offensive than Judah's. And you have to ask, why? Well, because Judah saw what happened to their sister nation, and they learned absolutely nothing. Their betrayal was called treacherous because they knew exactly what they were doing and what the consequences were.
But even then, the path to get back on track is made crystal clear. It's not some complicated 12-step program, it's just 3 things. Step 1, just admit what you did wrong. Step 2, stop doing it. And step 3, turn around and obey my voice. It's a simple, powerful call for honesty and a complete change of direction.
And this is what shows you the real point of it all. It's not about groveling or feeling terrible. It's about restoration. God promises that if they come back, He'll give them good leaders, true shepherds who will actually feed them with knowledge and understanding. I mean, that's the total opposite of the corrupt leaders they were following at the time.
So that offer of mercy is just hanging there. But Chapter 4 is where we see the terrifying picture of what happens if that offer is ignored. The whole tone just flips. We go from hopeful to absolutely bone-chillingly terrifying.
The call to repent gets way more intense here. God uses this farming metaphor, telling them to break up your fallow ground. You know, that hard, dry, useless dirt in their hearts that hasn't been touched in years. He's saying you can't just plant new seeds on top of this. It's a call for a deep, internal change, a circumcision of the heart. Just saying you're sorry isn't going to cut it. Real change takes hard, sometimes painful work. And this is where it gets so personal for Jeremiah. He's not just relaying a message anymore. He sees the vision of what's coming, and it literally makes him sick. He cries out in physical pain. He feels the agony of his people in his own gut. This isn't some distant intellectual warning. This is a cry of pure anguish from a man who loves the very people he has to warn.
And the vision itself just explodes in all these chaotic images. The language is super fast, it's breathless. Destruction upon destruction. It just gives you the sense of the speed and the absolute totality of the invasion. This isn't going to be some small border conflict. The whole land is going to be ruined. The cities, totally empty. This is what's on the other side of ignoring that offer of mercy.
Which brings us to our 5th and final act, Chapter 5. After all the warnings, all the pleading, God does one last search of Jerusalem. It's like He's looking, just desperately searching, for a single reason to spare the city. But what He finds is just heartbreaking. The entire moral fabric of the society has come undone. And it all comes down to this one tragic question. God basically challenges Jeremiah, go on, run through the streets of Jerusalem. See if you can find me one person, just one, who does the right thing and actually cares about the truth. And then He says, if you can find just one, I will pardon the whole city. Think about that. The fate of everyone is hanging on the character of a single person.
But He can't find one. The search just reveals a society that is rotten from the top all the way to the bottom. They refuse to be corrected. The leaders have thrown off all restraint. The prophets are liars, the priests are power-hungry, but the most chilling line, the one that just sends a shiver down your spine, is at the end. And my people love to have it so. It's not just that the system failed. It's that the people wanted it this way. They approved of the corruption.
So, when you step back and look at these first 5 chapters, a few big themes just jump out at you, right? You've got the incredible weight of a divine calling. You have the tragedy of breaking a sacred promise. You see the unavoidable reality of judgment. And yet, woven through all of it is this persistent, almost unbelievable offer of mercy. And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Jeremiah's world was a mess. Political chaos, corrupt leaders, truth was hard to find. The core accusation was that they'd traded the real, life-giving source for systems they built themselves that were just broken. And that really makes you ask the question for our own day and age, doesn't it? When institutions seem to be failing and it's hard to know what's true, where do we go to find our fountain of living waters?